The single best tip that I can offer when working with lightweight fabrics is to not sew them at all. Now that I have that terrible tip out of the way, Marketing Corn, hit us with that intro and let's get into some real tips. My name is Cornelius Quiring. That's my logo. That's my word mark. And Cornelius.ooh is my website where I have courses that teach people how to make their own clothes from scratch. Pattern drafting, sewing, all that fun stuff. Adding corn, onwards. It's this slinky, floppy nature of lightweight fabrics that makes them so challenging to work with. But it doesn't have to be this way. The single best thing we can do is to first stabilize our fabric, to give it some rigidity. To do this, we use a starch. Now, I personally have a bottle of spray starch here, but you can also buy this stuff in powder form, mix it with water, add it to your spray bottle, and psst, psst, psst. Bob's your uncle. Option one, if you've got a little bit of time, is just to give your fabric a nice overall spray, let that sit overnight, come back the next day and get to work. Oh, and pro tip, lay down a scrap piece of fabric so you don't get starch all over your nice wool mat like me here, or table, wherever you may be working. The other option, if you're looking to get to work right away, is to just give it a good old-fashioned ironing. That'll dry it out real quick. Here's a quick reminder of how this chiffon behaves normally. And now the section that I've starched, look at that. It has so much more body to it. And best of all, once I'm done sewing my garment, I just throw this thing in the wash and it comes right out like it was never even there. But if this isn't your jam, there are other ways of stabilizing the fabric as well. Some folks like a paper backing, a bit like this gift bag tissue paper that I have here. Alternatively, that construction paper that you get in packages works too. I go ahead and lay that underneath, pin the two layers together, and voila. You can cut the fabric with a paper backing and sew it as well. I've even had some folks tell me that they like to tape their lightweight fabrics. Now, you may not necessarily want to tape the entire piece of fabric, but wherever it is that you're going to be cutting or sewing, lay down a strip, do what you need, and take it off when you're done. This wool mat, by the way, about 2 feet by 5 feet. If you know about wool mats, you know. I've shared a link below if you're interested. But if only I could now get one the size of the full table. Ooh. Cutting our lightweights with fabric shears is just so much easier after we've stabilized the fabric. In fact, Hand Modeling Corn, give us a quick demo. Same thing goes for the paper-backed option. I could make this fabric as stiff as a board, but that does nothing to change the fact that it's also a little slippery. So rather than using regular scissors, I can use these serrated blade scissors. Those little micro teeth grab and hold the fabric as I'm cutting along. When it comes to cutting up my pattern pieces or large cuts in general, I don't use scissors altogether and instead prefer a rotary cutter. Now, this does mean you're going to need some sort of a cutting surface, ideally a big one like my 3 by 2 feet option that I have here. Because our fabric is so nice and thin, this blade just beautifully slices through the fabric. Look how clean those cuts are. I mean, I could never do that with a pair of scissors if I tried. No shifting or moving fabrics, just beautiful, precise cuts every single time. And finally, when it comes to sewing our fabrics, there's again a handful of things we can do to make our lives just a little bit less miserable. Freshly brewed cup of coffee is one way. perhaps more useful is swapping out our regular needle for a Microtex needle. The Microtex is the needle on this side, and as you can see, the shaft is just a little bit thinner, and then you'll have to believe me, but the point is also a bit sharper. In terms of size, I prefer to go with a 9, 10, or even 11, and I know there's a conversion, and I think it's the European one, or I confuse them. Either way, Editing Corn, put the numbers there. And the reason for having the finer point and thinner shaft is that it's just going to do a better job of piercing through our delicate material and is less likely to damage it. And then in terms of stitch length, I like to reduce that right down to a 1.5 millimeter. If you happen to have a vintage machine like my Kenmore Beauty right here, well then I set that stitch length to just past the 12 stitches an inch mark. The shorter stitch length makes our seam more secure and less likely to tear out the fabric. Using a straight stitch needle plate is also going to help. And basically what that means is we have one tiny little hole here for a straight up and down stitch, rather than the full width regular one, which also does zigzag stitches. Combine that with a straight stitch presser foot and well, we are golden. What that does is greatly reduce the amount of space for the needle and thread to go up and down, and in turn, reducing the chances of our fabric getting pulled up or down into the machine while we're sewing. And my final tip, for the anchoring stitches at the beginning and end, rather than trying to go forward and backwards a couple times, which can get chewed up by the presser foot, I like to instead turn my fabric around, do a handful of stitches, then lift up my presser foot, turn everything back, right way round, and then sew as I normally would. If anchoring my stitch isn't very crucial because I'll be sewing something on top later, well then I can just start with the starter piece, work my way forward, feed in my lightweight fabric, and boom, life is a little bit easier. Also, very proud to announce that I am now officially a member of the Kenmore cult. This is my 158, the 1431O to be specific. 50 years old, all metal parts, glides as I sew along. Honestly comparable to my very expensive brand new Juki. Came with the original manual, still in fantastic shape. And even the parts that I need to do buttonholes. The lady who was selling it had it listed for $100. As soon as I messaged her, she immediately offered me a discount of $80. She just wanted to sell it and move on. So I could have haggled it even lower, but I mean, come on. All of you folks that kept rattling on about them in my comments, I get it now. I get it. Whew. I have no doubt I've missed a whole bunch of tips and tricks for working with lightweight fabrics, so let me pass the talking scissors over to you. Do share down in the comments what you do to make lightweights a little bit more enjoyable and fun to sew. A massive thank you to Quality Sewing for their ongoing support of what we're doing here. I've shared a link down below. Or perhaps you're interested in joining the Corncob Club. It's a monthly membership where you get access to exclusive content, big old juicy discounts on my courses. There's a group chat where this week's topic of discussion was thread. Or you could even be like one of these lovely folks who gets their name at the end of the video. A giant thank you to everyone who is already a member. Without you, this wouldn't really be possible. If you're interested, just head on over to this URL right here or hit the join button on YouTube. And thanks to the members, actually, I've been able to get a new studio light, which you can't see here, but it means I have had more consistent lighting in this video specifically. The little kind of technical details that make my heart happy, and also telling you about it was an excuse for you to click on one of these videos. or not, but